Hello, welcome to another Burgundy with Tweedy video. I've decided to retake this intro as I was using my GoPro and it's 20 minutes now past sunset. It would be just completely hopeless, but I've noticed my phone actually copes much better in this light. So if this all looks a bit weird, the aspect ratio looks wrong and the sort of lens curvature, whatever you call it, it is going to be a bit different, but hopefully you can actually see me for a change. This is another wine I picked up the other day in Berry Brothers and Rudd in St James's. It's a Nuits St Georges and it's from a producer called Jean Chauvenet, but it's actually sold under their own Berry Brothers and Rudd label. I think I've possibly tried one of these before, haven't I? This is the 2023 vintage, which I will admit is incredibly recent. At some point, I'm going to have to move on and get used to what 2023 is like as a vintage. Stocks of 2022, nice though it is, will not last forever. As noted, it is quite dark. There is no point in talking about the colour of this. Let's go straight in with the nose there, pre-swirl. Not a bad start, sort of crisp kind of smell of, not a smell of crisps, I'm not talking about potato crisps, a crisp smell of berry fruit, I would say. Almost a sensation of, perhaps that's just the environmental conditions because it is slightly chilly, berry fruit that's come out of the freezer somehow. I'm being put in mind of cranberries or something. Are they often frozen? I've got a vague feeling you see those in bags frozen. And there is a little bit of earthiness in with that. I think perhaps characterising that as cranberries is a little bit unfair. That's usually a fruit note I use when it's all a bit austere and bitter and not really to my liking, but I think it is actually some sort of berry fruit that's a little bit nicer than that. But at the moment it's all quite earthy and earthy. I can't think of a better sort of synonym than that. Not exactly soupoir, but sort of earthy. Perhaps the fruit will wake up and emerge more with a swirl. Ah yes, brighter, fresher. I think again berry fruit here. I thought I had a flash of blueberry perhaps for a moment there. That was coming to mind. There might be some of the blackberries I seem to be finding in everything recently. Try not to be too repetitive. Again, slight earthy notes to that. It's all sort of quite deep and earthy, berries picked up from the ground rather than immaculate berries that have been washed in the finest spring water. I don't know what I'm talking about. That was sort of a Monty Python reference, I think. What's that crunchy frog sketch. The earthy notes are subsiding a bit now and getting more of that berry fruit. And that's not bad actually. That isn't actually a terrible start. Okay, let's give this a sip. Hello. Brief canine cameo there. Where was I? I was lost my train of thought. On the palate, noticing a fair bit of tannin there. Could possibly be a sign of this relative youth. Only 2 years old. Quite a sort of crunchy, palpable sense of tannin there, but in between that there is quite a nice sense of richness to the fruit. Quite rich Nuits St Georges-esque berry fruit expression there, slightly Gavinier-esque, but kind of a little bit, wouldn't say lost in the noise, but a little bit diluted. The pleasure of that is a little bit diluted by what to me are quite mouth-puckering tannins at the moment. Perhaps that's just the first sip. Maybe I will get used to that. Still there. Quite a lot of tannin, particularly noticing that back of the palate and in the aftertaste as well. But what I will say in its defence is that aside, if you can ignore that component of it, there's a really nice fruit purity there, a really nice pure pebbly sort of smoothness in between the almost gritty tannins. Do you have a sort of sense of coming back to that spring water from before somehow, getting this kind of mineral spring watery sense? Those berries that were previously a bit sort of earthy, dirty, that had been picked up from the riverbank, they are now being at least slightly washed This is a babbling stream. This is a babbling stream, isn't it? Getting a sort of slight sense of flat pebbles, that kind of mouthfeel, nice smoothness, but with some silt or grit from the tannins. I would say those tannins aside, I actually really quite like that, and I'm sure they would soften a bit more with time. Give this another year or two, and presumably they'd be a bit more gentle, and perhaps even sometimes airing seems to soften tannins. I don't think that's really scientific, is it? But it just seems to be how I perceive them. A little bit hard to pin down the actual fruit character. I think I meandered over several different fruits there. I feel I'm saying blackberry far too much recently. I said exactly blackberry, not quite, is it? It's veering towards the darker side of berry fruit, but a little bit of a mix, and it's made something kind of interesting and unique, actually. I'm getting bits of blueberry, bits of blackberry. Possibly there is a bit of red currant and cranberry in there as well, but they're not ruining it. And partly I'm possibly just saying that because I'm getting a big tannic hit. And to me, cranberries and possibly even red currants are fairly tannic. But yes, the tannins aside, nice bit of richness, nice bit of fruit purity, even though I can't quite characterise what the fruit is. And actually very pleasant. So if you're someone who doesn't mind or actively enjoys fairly bold tannins, I quite like this. Alternatively, I suspect that would actually get significantly better in a year or two when the tannins are a bit less crunchy. I think I've sometimes heard this kind of style of tannin described as. I might stop talking now because it is dark. The downside of filming on my phone is I have no little screen to reassure me that A, I am still filming, and B, it is still in shot, and C, it's even vaguely visible. The lighting has been obviously degrading as I've been babbling on here. So this might just be dark and awful now, but I'm going to shut up. Cheers.